What's going on, everybody? American Football Network here with another video today. And today we're bringing you guys our Texas A&M preview prediction video. But before we get started, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Comment those thoughts and opinions down below. Help us reach that goal of 1,000 subscribers by the end of August. We are currently 14 away, so we're closing into that with about half the month still left to go, including today. So let's go ahead and help us get there and hurry and hit that goal before the start of the season. We're very excited about that, and I feel like we're really going to hit it within the next week or two. But let's go ahead and jump into today's video. So today we're doing the Texas A&M Aggies. Last season, they had a very disappointing season in which they brought in, I believe, the #1 recruiting class in 2022. It was definitely top three. They went 5-7 overall, 2-6 in the SEC with wins over Sam Houston State, Miami, Arkansas, UMass, and the biggest win of the season, LSU at home last season. They returned 8 starters on defense, 7 starters on offense. Even though they don't return the quarterback position, I feel like they get better with Connor Weigman. They get some big transfers in, primarily on the defensive side of the football. They get Josh DeBerry from Boston College at cornerback. They get Tony Grimes, the cornerback from North Carolina. I think that's a huge get for them if he can play to what his name is. Obviously, last year he wasn't very good, but if he can play up to that level that he has in the past, that's going to be a very big pickup for them. You look at Sam McCall, the cornerback from from Florida State to A&M. So definitely some bigger names up there for them at the defensive position. They get the number 10 overall recruiting class, headlined by DJ Hicks at D line and Ruben Owens at running back. Ruben Owens probably going to be the starter at running back for the A&M Aggies. So he's a guy that's going to come in and make an immediate impact. But for the most part, they do return a lot of guys on this team. A lot of their returning production from last season comes back, although they had very little production last season. But I expect them to be a little bit better this year. So let's go ahead and jump into the schedule part for them. So week 1, they get New Mexico. I have this game as a win. I think New Mexico is a solid team, but they're just not to the level they need to be able to compete with Texas A&M. A&M, just based off pure recruiting talent, is going to win this game, regardless of what happens at coach or with coaching or quarterback play or anything like that. They're going to be a very good warm up game before you get a tough one in week 2 when you go on the road to Miami. And real quick, I did forget to mention earlier, but Texas A&M got a new offensive coordinator this season, and Bobby Petrino is going to be the main guy there at offensive coordinator. Petrino is a very good offensive mind, in my opinion. I think that he can really help turn the offense around and help develop some of these players. But I do still think A&M has a few years before they're going to be, top 10, top 15 level. But I think they can still be solid. So back to the schedule. Week 2, go on the road to Miami. I have this game as a loss. I just think the Hurricanes are a better team. I think they're a little bit better coached with Cristobal than Jimbo is. I think that they have a little bit more stability on their team. I think their offensive line is solid. Both lines, I think, are really solid and better than Texas A&M. And I think with this game being a home game for Miami, that helps them a lot. I think that Texas A&M gets the loss in that one. This is a game they won last year, 17-9. I think A&M isn't going to be much improved, and I think Miami will be pretty solidly improved from last season. So I have a loss there for Texas A&M. Then they get ULM at home. I have this game as a win, much like the New Mexico game. Not a game that needs much discussion. Easy win there for A&M. Then they get Auburn at home. This is a team that they They play, yeah, they've lost to Auburn last season on the road 13-10. I think this is a game that is going to be an interesting one. I think it'll be a closer one, but I do think A&M will win this season with this being a home game. I think that helps. I think that they're going to get the win this season. Um, but I do think this is going to be a fun, entertaining game to watch. I think it's going to be a nail biter down to the end, a lot like last season's game was. As I do think Auburn is on the rise with Hugh Freeze. Obviously, they're not going to be great this season. I think that they're a 4 to 6 win team, somewhere in that range. I think I had them going 5-7. Let me look right here real quick. Actually, what I had them going, I had Auburn going 5-7. But I think A&M gets the win, but it's going to be a fun matchup to watch for sure. Then they get the game in Arlington against the Arkansas Razorbacks, a team that they beat last season by 2, 23-21. They got beat the year before in 2021, and I think they get beat again this year. I think Arkansas is a very elite team. I think this is a team that has the potential to come out of the West. I think it's kind of a 4-team race in the SEC West, but headlined by LSU and Alabama, but some players in the a little bit farther back in Ole Miss and Arkansas, and potentially even Mississippi State. So, this is going to be interesting to watch, and I think Arkansas's path to to reaching that point is a win against A&M. I just think that Arkansas is going to dominate them at the line of scrimmage, much like I think Miami will. Arkansas is going to run the ball down their throat with both Rocket Sanders and KJ Jefferson, and Texas A&M, in my opinion, I don't think they're going to be able to stop them. I don't, and I think that that's going to open up some play action and some deep shots down the field for Arkansas. I think they're going to be a little bit more creative than they were last season, and I think they're going to have a good year. Then they get Alabama at home. I have this game as a loss. I think the Crimson Tide is, going to be a little bit worse than they were last season, but still good enough, in my opinion, to beat A&M. Now, it will be tough because they have to go to A&M, but I still think they can get the win. Last year, though, A&M only lost by 4 points to Alabama, but I think Nick Saban will have his boys ready. He's not going to lose to Jimbo for the second time in 3 years. He's not going to do that. Saban will come away with the win. Then A&M goes on the road to Tennessee. I have this game as a loss again. I just think that Tennessee has too much offense for A&M to stop and compete with. I think if I don't see A&M's defense being able to really slow down this offense any, so that makes the game a shootout, and I'm not sure that A&M's offense can really compete with that Tennessee team and stay neck and neck with them in a shootout. I like Weigman at quarterback, but I don't think he's to that level yet that Joe Milton and that Tennessee offense is on. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Then they get South Carolina at home. I have this game as a win. I think this is a nice little spot to get South Carolina. You're coming off a bye week. You had a rough little stretch, and I think the bye week, especially coming off that right here, is going to be a huge factor in this game. I think these are two pretty evenly teams, but given that it's at Texas A&M and they're coming off a bye, I'm going with Texas A&M for the win. Then the Aggies go on the road to Ole Miss. I have this game as a loss. Much like the Tennessee game, I think Ole Miss has way too much offense for Texas A&M, and I think that they're going to have a hard time keeping up with that. I don't really see them being able to slow Ole Miss down any. And again, I don't think Weigman's ready for a shootout, especially on the road. I just don't think he's suited to do that. I just don't. I think he's going to have a hard time with that. I think he'll have a hard time with that one, and so I have a loss there for A&M. Then they get Mississippi State at home. I have this game as a win. I think that the Bulldogs are a good team with a lot of potential, but I just think that they're going to hit some roadblocks this season. I think they're going to trip up in a few games, and I think one of those games is at A&M. It's a tough place to play. As you see here on the screen, the stadium, when it's full, there's a lot of people there, and it's loud. And so it's going to be a tough place to play. It's going to be a harder fought game at this point in the season. A&M will have worked out some of their kinks. Are going to be playing for a chance to go to a bowl game, because at this point I have them at 4 wins. They get Abilene Christian next. That's obviously a win. So it's either Miss State or at LSU for the bowl game. And I think that they're going to, they're really going to use that to motivate them. They're going to beat Mississippi State and go into the Abilene Christian game at 5-6, or excuse me, at 5-5, and I have them winning that game. Obviously, that's the worst team by far on Texas A&M schedule. They will have no problem with them at all. Then they go on the road to LSU, and I have this game as a loss. They got to win last season at home against LSU by 15. So it was a big win for them, biggest win of their season by far. But I think they're going to have a hard time going uh, to Baton Rouge and trying to come out with a win in that one. I think it's going to be a struggle for them. I think it will be a little bit of a competitive game for about 3 quarters, but I think once fourth quarter time comes, LSU is going to start to pull away, and their talent's really going to shine and outshine A&M. And not as much as their talent, because A&M has a lot of talent, but their development of their talent is really going to shine, and their experience and maturity, and they're going to pull away, in my opinion, in the fourth quarter and pull away. But that wraps up the regular season for A&M. I have them going 6-6 overall, 3-5 in the SEC. So not a bad season at all. Whenever you look at last year, you improve by game, you get to a bowl game. Some of these guys get more experience, but I think personally, overall, I'm not a big fan of Jimbo Fisher and the Aggies. So, I have them going 6-6. I'm sure a lot of you will disagree, but let me know what you think in the comments. What you have A&M going. Help me hit that goal of 1,000 subscribers by the end of August. I appreciate all of you guys watching, and we'll